Hello and welcome to another edition of the Cory Sauter Show here at Studio One. I'm Kelly Loft, Athletic Communications Director at Southwest Minnesota State University, as we talk Mustang football again this week. We'll look back at the SMSU Mustang loss to St. Cloud State, SMSU losing 24-6, and we'll preview next week's game versus Upper Iowa down in Fayette, Iowa. And joining us, as always, is the head coach of the Mustangs, Cory Sauter, as we take a look at last week's loss to the Huskies in St. Cloud, Minnesota. We'll also take a look at highlights as well, and as I mentioned, preview the Upper Iowa game. And Coach, lots to talk about. It was a busy week, lots going on, and you had to head up to St. Cloud, another road trip, and taking on a team that was undefeated in conference play and tied atop the conference standings, a very big test. And besides a rough start, the guys played pretty well and unfortunately did not get a victory, and that's what obviously counts at this level, but overall pretty good effort for the Mustangs in St. Cloud.
Well, it was, and we have the entire season really have gotten off to slow starts. We've given up initial drives, scoring drives defensively, and offensively we have had a lot of situations this year where we just haven't been able to get things going early. But all in all, I thought our effort was great. We finally got settled in defensively, and to only give up 17 points to the second best offense in the conference really speaks for itself. And I thought special teams, we increased our level of play there. That was something we emphasized during the week of practice. And offensively, we were able to move the football at times, and were able to get down to the red zone and had some turnovers, which really was the outcome of the ball game and the biggest difference. Yeah,
the Mustangs again fall 24-6 to St. Cloud State. 4 turnovers for the Mustangs in the contest, and some costly ones, as Coach talked about. We had the ability, you move the football in that first half, and especially in the first quarter, and what you do to keep them off the field is to control the ball and control the time of possession, and you did that in that opening half, and you were able to run the football with Warren Matthews and using the passing game as well. So that was an excellent start for your squad, but you just could not punch it in, and sometimes you get to that red zone, it shortens the field a little bit, and you give St. Cloud credit, they made some plays.
Yeah, they did, and that's really an area where we excel pretty well over the past several years, and even this year. And so it was very disappointing, the fact that we were able to move the football and not capitalize. The field does shrink down there, and you have to make quick decisions. Things happen very rapidly, and our quarterback has to make good decisions. Our receivers have to tighten up their routes. So it just pretty much everyone has to understand that fact. And but we had the fluke play that really changed the momentum of the ball game. It was really about a 14-point swing in the ball game, and it's one of those things where it's probably 1 out of 1,000 or even more probability when you look at that play on film. But I thought we were able to move the football, especially with our screen game. It was probably the most we've ever called screens in a football game. We called 16 screens in the ball game, which is about 1/4 of the snaps, and they were working. They're a team that likes to pressure a little bit, and they do have a good pass rush, so it definitely helped to our advantage to get those called.
Was that something you mentioned last week, going into the St. Cloud State game? You wanted to run the football, and you did a very good job against a pretty good defense from St. Cloud State, and you mentioned those screens, and that was one thing I wanted to touch on the screen passes. And it seems like a very simple play, but it does have to be executed properly and sold by your offensive line and the quarterback and everybody downfield, so you don't give it away. Kind of explain how that works if you're going to run that screen, and there's obviously different ones to the side or to the middle of the field and whatnot.
Yeah, well, for one thing, we do have a lot of different types of screens. We have screens to a running back where essentially it's a middle screen where we try to release our center and both guards. Our tackles still are pass blocking, inviting that defensive end up the field and essentially taking himself out of the play. So we do have a middle screen. We have kind of a double screen where we have a screen going on one side, a screen going on the other side, and it's up to our quarterback to decide which side he wants to work. We have screens to our slots. We have screens to our tight ends. We really involve everybody in that. And one thing about our screen game is it's something that we practice every single day, and we don't just talk about the screen game. We actually spend 10 minutes every single day working on screens. Our quarterbacks understand the importance of the screen game. I think our offense understands the importance of it. Our offensive line necessarily doesn't enjoy practicing it because it entails them sprinting down the field, and anytime they have to move more than 5 yards, I think they get a little disgruntled. But we do it every day for 10 minutes and get a lot of reps in, and so when we do it in the game, it's just natural for them to do it. And again, if you're having success with it and they're not, they continue pass rushing, you might as well continue to call it. And that was the case. We ended up getting some big ones. We had some big, even some intermediate ones. We were getting 12 to 15 yards on a completion on those, and so it was nice to see that we were able to execute those very well.
Well, the opening drive, the Mustangs were forced to punt. St. Cloud took over with a pretty good field position and went down and scored quickly. And they have arguably one of the best wide receivers in the conference, and Fred Williams, who leads their school football program all-time in receptions and yards, and a very good receiver and a very good quarterback as well. But all in all, as you said, after that first few drives that they had, your cornerbacks and the entire defense, safeties did an excellent job of limiting his touches. I mean, he made some big plays, but under 100 yards receiving. And there was a few balls I could think of in the second half where they had a fade pass in the corner, and our safety, Levi Reed, knocked it down. And Kurt Gosser did a great job when they basically just went one-on-one with him, took a safety out, and motion, took the safety, and Kurt jumped it. I mean, you could tell the guys listened, again, as they always do, to the game plan and executed. It was just a tip of the hat to those guys on the defensive side of the ball.
It really was, and we, the whole game plan during the week was really trying to minimize. We knew that Fred was going to get his yards. I mean, he's just too good of a player not to, and to have him only score one touchdown and keep him under 100 yards, I think, was a goal that we had for the day, and they were able to accomplish that. But our guys made big plays when they had to. Just looking at them pre-game and even during the game, the size of their offensive line, and I mean, one guy's 360 pounds, the other guy's 310 on their both offensive tackles, and they've got very, very good players, and for us to hold them to 17 points and play that solid of football, it really gives a credit to them, because it was a heck of a job. And it's just one of those games where you just like to just erase that first quarter and just start over and go from there, but you just don't have that luxury.
Yeah, Mustangs trail 14-0, and on your third possession, again, move the ball down into St. Cloud territory, and that fluke play that we were talking about with a snap back to Ryan at shotgun, and it hit off his hand and maybe bounced off again and more. And next thing you know, it bounced in the air, and the defensive lineman for St. Cloud State just happened to be right there across the face of one of our linemen, and it takes it, grabs it, and runs it 78 yards the other way. And after it went 21-0, you thought, what else could go wrong? And again, I just give the guys credit for battling back. And St. Cloud did a very good job in the second and third quarters at limiting your offense. And you mentioned one of those stats, just the slow starts this year, the Mustangs being outscored by 40 points in the first quarter. But in the second quarter, you're outscoring your opponents by almost 30 points. Same in the fourth quarter. It's just that first and third. And I said if you knew the answer, you would, you'd figure it out. But I suppose it's just coming out of the halftime or out of the locker room and maybe a different speech or chair or something to start that game. But the guys kept battling and against a team that's probably going to be ranked in the top 25 this week.
Yeah, and our players responded pretty well at halftime. We talked about just the emotion, the intensity that's required to play this game, and we had it going into the game. I didn't see it so much those early couple series, especially when we got a couple scores on us early, and we got their attention at halftime and just kind of regrouped and rallied around one another and just started playing football. And sometimes when you just do that, you just start to relax and, okay, let's just go play instead of worrying about what the score is. And So I thought our players responded very well, and then offensively our goal was just let's get in the end zone, some shape or form, and it took a while, but it ended up happening.
Yeah, the Mustangs did fall behind 24-0, did move the ball down in the fourth quarter, and finally got a touchdown on Gannon Moore. Longest play of the season for the Mustangs, an 80-yard screen that broke and went for a touchdown. The Mustangs went for two, did not make it, and that was the final score, 24-6. And unfortunately in the contest, and it has happened around the conference, probably the best player in the league hurt his knee this last year from Minnesota, this last week from Duluth, and out for the year. And injuries are piling up for a lot of teams in the conference. But I tell you what, Saturday was crazy for SMSU. You had your leading rusher in the game, Warren Matthews, go down with an injury, and he's questionable this week. And your fullbacks and some receivers. I mean, it's just crazy what's happened here in the last week, and it's just all kind of happening at one time.
Yeah, it really has, because the past couple of weeks we've come out of games fairly healthy, just a guy or maybe two guys at the most, but there was a point where, on the sideline I was kind of looking around thinking, okay, who are we going to put in here for in a short yardage situation or goal line situation, because, Warren was out, we had Finke was out, we had Ben Nath was out, Kosminskis was out, both of our fullbacks. Ladegi was a little bit shaken. I mean, just one guy to the next, and you start to think and wonder, okay, what's going to happen next year? So we'll get kind of the injury report here in the middle of the week and see who we can suit up and play. Concussions have been kind of a hot topic this off season, so it's definitely something we've been erring on the side of caution, and as we should, and so the main thing is we just got to get our guys healthy, and it is week 7, week 8 in the season, so you're going to have those things start to add up, and it just happens in different times for different teams, and so we're just going to have to get regrouped, and the guys that haven't been playing are going to have to step up and get their opportunity now, especially those younger guys that not only are looking at this year, but in the future as far as the next season.
Yeah, you look at it's happened on all phases of the game. The special teams, a team you thought maybe could be your place kicker or punter, both out here with injuries. On the defensive side, Nick DiCaniva has missed the last 2 games with an injury, and his return is, very questionable. So, I mean, you lose your leading tackler. That hurts on the defensive side of the ball, but you did have some guys step up and make some plays, and the linebackers have done a very good job with John Kersberger, and again leading the team in tackles on Saturday afternoon, and Paul Mickey and Jason Fernholz, your starters, and they've done an excellent job, as you expect, to have those veterans. And again, the defensive line, you got a couple of sacks, and Ben Peterson played a pretty good game as well with a couple tackles for loss, and you need those younger guys to come through, and there's an example of Ben doing that.
Yep, and especially too on defense, sometimes you might have a guy that isn't as experienced but is giving great effort, and when you just keep pounding the rock, pounding and pounding and pounding, and just doing things right, down after down after down, good things will happen. And so it was just nice to see those guys, get some production, just after not playing so much this year.
Yeah, you are watching the Cory Sauter Show here at Studio One. I'm Kelly Loft, Athletic Communications Director at SMSU, and again, the Mustangs fall last week, 24-6 to St. Cloud State. SMSU now 3-4 overall and 2-4 in the NSIC, and the Mustangs will be at Upper Iowa this Saturday in Fayette, Iowa. At this time, we're going to take a look at some of these highlights from this past week's game versus the Huskies from St. Cloud State University. Again, the Mustangs start up here in the first quarter. Here's a rush by Warren Matthews. Again, had a pretty good game before leaving with an injury.
Yeah, but very close. Really breaking a really long one. You got a nice gain there, almost 20-yard gain, and our offensive line, our tight ends. We actually have both of our tight ends to the same side of the formation. We ended up getting both those guys out with the blocks, and Warren was very, very close to breaking a very long run.
Matthews leads the team with 350 yards rushing on the season. Here's a catch by Brett Wickett.
Okay, it was a 3rd and 7 situation, and Ryan does get hit on the play, but does get the ball out, and Wickett does come up with the football. We didn't get the best pass protection on this play, but you got to give St. Cloud credit. They're twisting linemen and every which way, and it makes it tough to sit back there and throw.
The Mustangs get it down near the 20-yard line. We continue on in the first quarter. Warren Matthews out of the backfield.
Okay, one of our screens, we throw it out to him in the flat. We don't get the best blocking from our receivers, but you'll see from the end zone copy here, essentially he makes the guy miss, the guy that comes off the block, and he's such an elusive player. Every time he touches the ball, he just has that ability to do that.
Moving on now to the second quarter, Mustangs trailing here in the contest, and the defense, Joe Stupka, big hit.
Yep, and we get a
interception.
Yep,
I'm sorry,
interception.
This is the interception.
Yep, interception. They get a play action. They're going to play action to their right. We do get some pressure applied to their quarterback, and he has to throw a little bit before he wants to, and ball sitting up there, and he makes a nice play.
Joe Stupka, his first interception of the season. You were able to at least give some. The offense got a first down or two, and then John Kirschbergen with the sack, and again now he leads the team in tackles for the season.
Yeah, he's really playing well right now, and he's stepped up his game, and he has a great pass rush. He gets off the block and makes the sack.
Moving on to the second half of play, Mustangs trail again at halftime by a 14 to nothing or 17 nothing to score. Now we continue on, and Levi Reif, big stop here on third down against that Fred Williams.
Here's the play you were talking about earlier, and Fred has him beat right off the line of scrimmage. The good thing is he retreats, he gets back in his face, and gets his hand inside there to distract him a little bit.
And that's their leading receiver for St. Cloud in school history. And continuing on fourth down, or in the third quarter, this is a fourth down play, and Kirschbergen and Stupka with some big stop to force the turnover and downs. Yeah,
this is one area where I thought our defense has really done pretty well this year as far as those third and shorts, fourth and shorts, coming up with the big play, and what a definite momentum-changing play that was.
Now we go back to the offensive side. Gannon Moore, who had 8 receptions in the contest for 150 yards out of the backfield.
Again, another screen, and he's a tough guy to bring down. We're getting fairly decent blocks downfield, but Gannon, again, sometimes becomes his own blocker.
Again, 8 catches, 150 yards, and a touchdown. And you'll see it here, and some good blocking downfield, and important for the receivers. You see Wickett there helping out, and the guys continue to hustle down the field to help Gannon Moore. On the defensive side, we mentioned earlier in the show, Ben Peterson, and picks up a sack.
Right, and Ben's just done a nice job as far as just coming in and playing hard, and really knows his role. He's getting better every week, and it's just really good to see him get some production here.
Now we move on to the fourth quarter. A few offensive plays. Shane Ladegi, 15 catches on the season, picks up one here in this fourth quarter to keep
another screen, a tight end delay screen, and we get it out. Their backers are getting a lot of depth, getting out of there, and we're just going to slip it to him real late and let him catch and run. You can see Ryan trying to look off the coverage and then slip it underneath to Shane.
Brett Ballantyne, who's tied for second in the team with 23 receptions this season, picks up gets a wide receiver screen and makes some moves.
Yep, another screen. Like I said, we're going to screen from all over the place, from the inside, from the outside. Ryan does a nice job of looking the guy off, doing a little spin move to get some attention to the field side, and then we end up throwing it to the short side of the field.
On the defense, linebackers and defensive line, Paul Mickey and Adam Iverson, a tackle for loss combining here.
Yep, it's good to see those guys being aggressive, and especially when you got a team backed up on the inside their own 10-yard line. It's nice to be able to maintain that field position, and they're able to make a big stop here.
Continuing with the defense, a tackle for loss. 3 Mustangs in. Levi Reif, Tyree Dixon, Jason Fernholz stopping here on a third and short play and forcing the Huskies to punt.
Yeah, but again, there's a lot of bodies packed in there, and you would think that they would have the advantage with the size of their offensive line, but our guys are pretty good at just mixing things up and playing physical.
There's a couple of receptions now for Gannon Moore in the fourth quarter. This first one, another screen, and just uses that speed and agility to get upfield.
Right, and everything's set up. The good thing is our offensive line is very patient. They don't just run down the field. They'll set up the blocks, guys are just flying down the field and trying to make yards after the catch.
Unfortunately, penalty moved the ball back here in this drive, but this is the touchdown reception. He runs hard. It goes about 80 yards.
Yeah.
Is the official play, and that's where he caught it at the 20-yard line as well.
Right. And he's faster than what people give him credit for, and he gets to the outside, and he would be a big guy to bring down too, even if there was somebody out there. But again, I was a little hesitant calling this because just the number of screens we called, and but if they're going to drop out and they're still going to have a pass rush, these are the types of plays that will be successful.
That was the lone touchdown for the Mustangs in the contest, but they do fall 24-6 to St. Cloud State. First time the two teams have played since 1984. So as you mentioned, Mustangs now 3-4 overall and 2-4 in the conference, and they'll continue their road trip this Saturday in Fayette, Iowa versus Upper Iowa University. That'll be a 1 o'clock kickoff in Fayette. And you talked about, Coach, now we move ahead, and you come off a loss, and we had a big win the week before versus Minnesota State Moorhead, and again, it's just getting this late in the season now, and there's certain goals that we can't attain anymore, but now as the coaching staff and the seniors and the veterans on this squad, you still there's 4 games to play. A winning season's a possibility, and what do you do each week to just keep the guys going, and to focus up, because those guys, there's a few guys that they're seniors that they're not going to play football again, and there's still lots to play for those guys and the entire team.
Well, one of the things that we talk about every week is just how special the game of football is. It's not one of those sports where when you're 35, 40, 50 years old, you're going to be playing in the backyard. You might be playing with your kids, but you're not going to be suiting up, and you have such a small window to play this game. So we try to emphasize how special the game really is, and how much they'll miss it when they are done playing. So it doesn't matter if we're 1-10, 10-1. If you have an opportunity to play on that football field, that's a neat thing, and I think our kids understand that, and I think our guys are just ready and hungry to get that next victory, and so we're trying to get back to 500. I think we'll be very focused this week. I told the guys too, we're going to incorporate another part of our program as far as trying to get some motivation. We're going to tell our guys if we win the football game, we're going to give them an extra day off. Okay, mm-hmm. And something that we did in the National Football League is they call it Victory Monday in the NFL. We're going to call it Victory Sunday. So if we win, they're going to get Sunday as well as Monday off to give them a little extra rest and a little extra incentive to play on Saturday. So we told our guys that this week, and hopefully our guys will respond and play very well and practice well, and hopefully that'll be a nice little incentive for them.
It's again, you only get 11 games a year, and it's a short season, but there's nothing like football Saturday, just the whole week leading up to it, and on game day, and Upper Iowa doesn't have a great record, and the Mustangs are under 500, but both teams will play hard, and it does mean a lot. It's a divisional game as well, and we're looking for our first division win and a chance, as you mentioned, to get back to 500, and then have a very good Winona State team coming to town in a couple of weeks. So still lots to play for, and again, those injuries, not much you can do about it. You move forward. You had another offensive lineman, Jake Deal, did start on the left side of the line for injured Brian Billar, who did play a little bit. But again, you're getting to see guys that haven't got a lot of chance to play, but the depth is there, and it's good that guys can fill in. And in that first quarter or so, Jake did a very good job, and the O-line, despite a new person in the line, seemed to gel pretty well.
Yeah, Jake's going to be a great player for us. This is his first year as a redshirt freshman playing, and he's got 3 really good years ahead of him, and very good feet, very strong, powerful kid, and he's got a lot of good years ahead of him. And same thing for the other guys too. Yeah. It's just a great opportunity for those guys to step in, see what they're capable of doing. We don't want to think about next year, but for those kids, it becomes very important for them.
And what are some of the things that you look for in a lineman? I think a lot of people at high school or whatnot, when you're the biggest kid, it means you got to play lineman, but that big doesn't mean you're going to be a great blocker. And And what are some of the things that you look for in recruiting, or just who gets to play? It's not just how big you are, but you got to have the feet and the hands and the ability to keep guys, out of the backfield or whatnot, and then it comes to foot and hand. I mean, those are very important pieces to playing offensive line.
Yeah, but one of the biggest things playing offensive line is their feet, because you always think of big guys, but you want big guys that can move, because when you look at our offense, they've got to be able to run block, they got to be able to pass block, but they, with the screens, for example, with those screens, those guys have to run down the field 10, 15, 20 yards down the field, so they just can't be stationary guys just sitting in the box. And so those are the first things that we always look for, is do they have great feet, because you can always add size, you can always add strength. It's always nice to have a guy with a nice frame that you can build from, that has good long arms, extension to keep those defensive tackles off of you, and it's just one of those things where you constantly are looking to get better, really at all positions. We want competition at all of our positions. We don't want just a guy that's, okay, you're named the starter and you're the starter. We want every single week guy to be pushed, so that not to threaten them, but to more just keep everybody getting better. And competition, if you're a competitor, you're going to get better from that, and hopefully we'll have that and continue to have that as we move forward.
Well, again, the Mustangs look to get back to 500 on Saturday as they take on Upper Iowa University in Fayette, Iowa, and the Mustangs then will return home on October 30th to take on Winona State University. So appreciate you watching this week's Cory Sauter Show. For the head coach, Cory Sauter, I'm Kelly Loft. Thanks for watching, and we'll see you next time. Go Mustangs!